And now for something completely different. In this video, we're going to compare different analog capture cards. I'm going to use the same tapes shot on an EVW300. We're going to capture them with various different capture methods and compare the difference between all of them. And we're also going to look at some footage from an old CCTV 5000 so we can compare that as well. So let's get started. I'll show you what we're going to do and then we'll compare it. This could be relatively long and I don't know what the results will be yet. Hey guys, we're going to be looking at some evaluation footage. In this video we're going to be using multiple devices for capture. This tape was shot on my EVW300. This was an evaluation tape that I did on the EVW300, if it ever shows up here. I have a sneaking suspicion that the heads were clogged. There we go. They just cleared themselves off. So this will be footage. I'm going to try and do this in like 1 or 2 takes. We're going to capture this multiple ways. One is going to be captured. I'm going to capture it through the composite input on the Cloner Alliance. I'm also going to capture it through the component, and you're going to wonder, how am I going to do component? Well, you see, I've got an S video out on my camera that I'm going to use for playback, and the S video out is going to go into my Sony GVHD700. I'll take an S video in. That'll give me a component output. That's if I can keep the heads from clogging up. This is why the recording is being done on this little camcorder, which I've got the head drum exposed so that I can get in there and clean it without having to take it all apart, because I'm probably going to have to clean the heads multiple times while I'm trying to play this tape back, because this is one of Sony's horrible, the worst tapes that they made. That would of course be these HMPX Professional P660 HMPX. These were just atrocious tapes, and they're all failing. In addition, I'm also going to take the DV FireWire out here. I'm going to capture it directly to my computer in straight DV quality from the analog to digital converter inside the Digital 8 camera. We'll also take the DV output. I'm going to take it into my DVD recorder. My DVD recorder has a FireWire input, so I'm going to copy it to a DVD. Actually, I've already copied this DVD. It's got to find the disc. So we'll take a rip from the DVD copy of this recording that was done through the FireWire input on the DVD recorder. I'm also going to record it on the HD PVR, the Hop-Hog HD PVR, using the S video in. So once we're done, we'll have multiple copies of this tape. I'll also do another one that was shot on a CCTV 5000 at the same location that I did a few years earlier, because I've got a tape of that. We'll do some comparison. The EVW300 when it was new, and the CCTV 5000 when it was new. And as I say, we'll do multiple captures. I'll do split screens so we can compare the two of them, and I think it should be interesting. We'll compare the quality from upscaling on the PC in software to 1080p, plus we'll take the output from the Cloner Alliance in 1080p. As I say, we'll capture it with component and composite to do a direct comparison. But that's what we're doing on this one, so it should be interesting. This is the camera that was used to make the recordings you're about to see. It's a Sony EVW300. And it was used for all the principal shots on the first segment of tapes. I am going to show some footage that was shot on a CCTV 5000 just for comparison. A little bit later on in the comparison, I'll take some shots from the CCTV 5000, which was the consumer version that looked very similar to this. This camera, when it was new, ran about $12,000 here up in Canada. I had one for a while. I think I paid $6,600 for mine. I bought it used. It had been used at a TV station for a couple of years. Used it for a bit, and then when I upgraded to digital, sold it. I should have hung on to it, because for what I got for mine when I sold it was absolutely nothing. I sold mine around 2001, 2002, somewhere in there, and I got nothing for it. But as far as high 8 cameras went, this was the best high 8 camera that Sony ever made, and for that matter, anybody ever made. No other company made a camera that recorded on high 8 to the quality that this one did. As you'll see in the upcoming video, I'm capturing this several times using several different pieces of equipment for playback and for capture. I'll be playing it back on an EVS 7000 as well as the last generation of digital 8 camcorder that Sony made that could play back analog tapes and digitize them to a FireWire. We're going to compare capturing through analog, capturing through S-video, going through an S-video to component converter so that I can capture it using the component input on my Cloner Alliance capture box, S-video into a Hauppauge HD PVR, and of course FireWire input. And everything will be scaled up to 1080 so you can see the difference of the same recording made with one of these cameras using various different pieces of equipment to digitize. Here I am capturing the EVW300 evaluation tape going through my Sony GV-HD700. It's coming out as a component video source and being captured over on the Cloner Alliance box using the component input. I'm using the EVS 7000 as a playback machine. That's why we got the digital sound. This is my EVS 7000. You can see I can switch PCM sound, which has been dubbed in on this tape, or I select standard sound. I can also, in mix mode, I can fade the sound up and down, so I can have a combination of natural audio on the mono soundtrack as well as the digital PCM sound that was dubbed in. Here's the machine here playing the tape. I always operate this machine with the top off so that if the heads become clogged, I can flip the little cleaning wheel and clean the heads on the fly. So I'm going to capture this tape a second time using the composite input. Now the reason I'm using this deck, and I'll show you why. When I play an analog tape back on this deck, I get superior results than using the analog playback capability of a digital 8 camcorder. And you'll see, I'll show you the difference between the two of them, and I think you'll probably agree with me that the quality off of this machine is superior. But then again, this was a very expensive machine that was a fully analog machine with digital audio, with time-based corrector and everything on it. And it was designed as an editing machine for the best quality for high 8. So I'm capturing this tape from the best high 8 camcorder that was ever manufactured, the broadcast quality EVW300. I'm playing it back on the best consumer high 8 player recorder that Sony sold. There were higher end ones sold to broadcast, but this was the highest end unit that was sold to consumers. We're going to capture it on this one, and I'll also do a DV capture using the GVD700 to digitize to a DV, and we'll try it again with the digital 8 camcorder, digitizing on that, and we'll look at the quality. This tape is unfortunately showing its age. There's a lot of dropouts in it. Not much I can do about that. That's what happens when you have a tape that was recorded in 1996. Videotape just does not last forever. Now what we're doing is we're digitizing the tape using the capture ability of the GV-HD700, which is taking the S-video signal in. It's giving me a component out that I'm capturing with the Cloner Alliance. It's also got the FireWire connected right to the computer. So I'm doing a capture onto two devices at the same time using the EVS 7000 for playback. The first one we're going to look at, this is the direct capture from the digital 8 camcorder. It's a DCR TRV 240. This is the FireWire out directly into the computer. On the left side of the screen, we're looking at the S-video out from the EVS 7000 feeding into the GV-HD 700 and being digitized by that and then being captured on the computer. The side on the right side of the screen is right out of the digital 8 camera directly into the computer. Notice the difference in the image quality of the playback on the left side from the EVS 7000 versus the right side. Note that I am not making any corrections. All of the settings are at their default level. I'm not adjusting color, contrast, anything. This is S-Video in to the GVD HD 700 and using that to digitize to a Firewire 25 stream, and the image on the right is right out of the Digital 8 camera. Now we're going to mix things up just a little bit more. I've added the Hauppauge HD PVR in the middle. So we have the analog S-Video going into the GVHD 700 on the left, S-Video into the Hauppauge HD PVR in the middle, and the right side is the direct output from the Firewire from the Digital 8 camera. Now things are going to get a little more interesting. The top half of the screen is the Cloner Alliance captured it to full 1080 using the component inputs. So the S-Video signal is looping through the GVHD 700 as an S-Video signal coming in. It's coming out as a component signal and being captured by the Cloner Alliance box as a full 1080 signal. So there's no up conversion done on the computer. And I don't know, I'm not quite in sync here, but that's right off of the Cloner Alliance, the top half of the screen. No up conversion, that's done by hardware. The three pictures on the bottom were captured at standard definition and they were up-resed. It was software. I've now added a fifth source. We've got the Cloner using component inputs on the top left, Cloner with composite input on the top right, GVHD 700 over Firewire bottom left, center Hauppauge HD PVR, and the right side the Digital 8 camera, its Firewire output. I've got them out of sync intentionally just so that you can see when things change, because I'm too lazy to put a border around things, apparently. These are not, the three bottom images have been resized in software. The two top images, that is directly how they are captured using the Cloner Alliance box. And I'm going to show you guys some full screen of these coming up. I'm just kind of doing this now. We're also going to throw into the mix some captures that were recorded using Firewire onto a DVD, and then the DVD was ripped and imported. So we'll look at the quality of those as well. I may not split screen those because I'm running out of real estate here, but I wanted to show you guys kind of the difference between the component and the composite input for the Cloner Alliance at the top of the screen. They're both pretty close, I think. And of course the three direct captures that were done in standard definition and then up-res to 1080p in software. And those are the three images on the bottom. The one in the middle, of course, being an analog capture using the Hauppauge HD PVR. The two outside ones were imported with Firewire. One digitized from S-Video using the GVD HD 700, and the one on the right was done internally on a Digital 8 camera. With the exception of the image on the bottom right, all the other images were playing back on a Sony EVS 7000 High 8 player, and the image on the bottom right was off of a Digital 8 camcorder. All right, now we're full screen. This is the Cloner Alliance capture. This is from the composite, just standard AV composite input. This is the quality that this capture device can deliver off of a composite source. This next shot, I wanted to get this in quickly because I didn't record quite as much onto the DVD, but this is a recording that was done to a DVD, and then the DVD was imported and scaled to fit a 1080p frame. So this is from a DVD first, and then to what you see. Now we're going to look at the full screen Cloner Alliance capture using the component input. This is from S-Video from the EVS 7000 using the GB HD 700 to convert S-Video into component video for capture. And we'll go back to the composite just in a second here, just so you can see the two of these side by side. So to show that there's not a huge difference between using the S-Video output and a component or S-Video output converting component and the composite. There's not a whole lot of difference in quality. Did you see the switch over? It was quite subtle. The component is a little bit sharper. If you watch the rocks there, this is the composite input. We'll switch back to the component. This is the direct output from the Digital 8 camera using the FireWire out. So the Digital 8 camera is digitizing this scene and sending it over FireWire to the computer. In just a split second here, we're going to cut over to the Cloner Alliance and show you the same image right now. There's the Cloner Alliance captured from component input via S-Video. Now we're looking at footage from the Hauppauge HD PVR. As you can see, the quality of this one is every bit as good as some of the other ones. Although it does require that the signal is time-base corrected, because this one here, bad time-base will cause this one to crap out. And now we're looking at an image. This is S-Video from the EVS 7000 into the GB HD 700. And then it's going from FireWire from the GB HD 700 into the computer. So we're using the Sony HDV video Walkman basically to convert the analog S-Video signal into a compatible FireWire signal, and then it's being scaled up. So this is actually the most expensive device that I've got, because this unit was around, I think it was $1,200 that I'm using to digitize. So this is actually the most expensive of all of the devices to capture. But is it better? Let's go back and look at that Cloner Alliance again using the component input. Finally, here's a shot from the Cloner Alliance from the component video input going through the HD 700. And I'm going to go and cut over to the composite input one last time. Now we're on the composite input, as you can see. A little bit softer, but totally acceptable. Totally acceptable in my eyes for when you're converting tapes over. It's certainly a lot quicker and easier to use one of these devices for capturing tape than to capture it over FireWire and then have to upscale, which takes some time to render it out. One of these boxes, you plug in your source and you've got your output. We'll go back to the component. Component certainly has a little more contrast. I saw a little bit of interference there, but that might have been one of my cables just picking up some noise from the plasma when I was on the composite, which is not there on this one. But I think going forward, when I digitize, I'll be taking the S-Video out from my playback machine into the HD 700, and then using that to split it out to component and capturing over component, because I think the quality difference is certainly it's worthwhile. A little bit better contrast, a little bit more detail from the analog source. It looks great. It really it looks great. So this is the EV-W300 professional 3-chip high-8 camcorder that this was captured on. I think what I'm going to do is I'll let this play through for a bit. The tape's coming up to the end here, and then we'll look at some shots done on a CCD V5000. Now these shots were recorded in 1996 was the summer of '96. The shots that follow was 1991. And I have another tape I'm going to probably put up at some point. I don't know. I got to get around to editing it. We shot with the EV-W300, so I figured you guys might like to see this. I was hired many years ago to cover Caribbean Days for local media. So I spent 2 days covering Caribbean Days, and I've still got the raw footage. I mean, it went to air with about a minute on a news story per night, and I've spent the entire day there just capturing stuff. So I found the tapes, so maybe I'll dig them out and we'll digitize those, and should be some nice colors and stuff there, and all kinds of activities going on there. Again, this would have been back in probably 96 or 97 when I shot that footage. I'll dig that up and we'll put that up at a video some point, and I'll capture it with the Cloner Alliance, just because I think the quality of that device is certainly more than adequate. And looking at the difference between the Firewire capture and this Cloner Alliance box, I think it's a no-brainer which one I'm going to use. Anyway, this is still the EV-W300, and I'll let this tape just play out for a bit so you guys can watch this, and then we'll show you the scenes from the same park a few years earlier with the CCD V5000, which was the single chip Sony prosumer camera. Looks very much like the EV-W300, but much smaller and plastic. Whereas this one here was all metal and heavy and so forth. This is a cutback to the Firewire capture of the same tape. Firewire, and we'll go back to the Cloner box one last time. Alright, I think that about does it for this camera. We're going to go over to the CCD V5000. I'll just show you some raw footage off of that camera captured with the Cloner box. And the playback machine on this would be the Digital 8 camera. So I can actually show you the Digital 8 output as well, because I recorded both. Okay, first shot we're going to look at. You can tell the banner at the bottom was still recording it there. This is from the Cloner Alliance, upscaled to 1080p on the Cloner Alliance, shot with the CCD V5000. I've also got shots, like the same shots that were transferred with Firewire directly to the computer, and a third one that was transferred with Firewire to a DVD, and then the DVD was imported. I'll show you the three of them. So this is the Cloner Alliance. We're going to switch over to the DVD shot and then the direct Firewire. If you notice it just got softer, this is the DVD. We made a DVD using Firewire and then imported it. This is the DVD shot. Let's look at the direct Firewire capture next. Do you see a difference? This is the direct Firewire capture off the Digital 8 camera. And it looks exactly the same. No difference than the DVD that was recorded from the same Firewire and then ripped. The DVD was recorded in MPEG 2 at the highest quality and then ripped into the computer. but no difference. Zero. I'll switch back to the DVD, and then we'll go back to the Cloner Alliance digitized from Component, which was taken off S-Video. So we're going to go back to the DVD right now. You're now looking at the DVD. Yeah, the sound does that when I did a cross-dissolve in the camera. These are effects done in the camera. Let's go to the Cloner Alliance right now. And here's a capture from the Cloner Alliance box. Once again, S-Video out from the camcorder. This time it was played on the Digital 8 camcorder. S-Video out from the camcorder into the GV HD 700, where it was split into Component and then sent by Component cable over to the Cloner Alliance capture box and captured directly as a 1080p stream. I think that's probably the best demo I can show you with all the different ways of capturing that I can capture video here. I think the clear winner in this is the Cloner Alliance box. I mean, it looks great for this old recordings. It looks really good. I'm going to let this play out just for a couple minutes. I'm going to shut up now. You don't need to hear me talking. I'm going to let it play out. I'll switch back and forth a few times and see if you can figure out which one's which. Try to figure out which is the DVD and which is the direct FireWire link. You're not going to be able to tell. They're that close, but I'll switch back and forth a couple times just to confuse you.
No, I'm sick of talking about you just quit it for a while.
Okay, the real way you can tell which camera this was recorded in is the V5000 had a stereo mic on it, whereas my EVW300, I only had a mono mic, and even though I did a sound dub on the PCM track, I just imported it over in mono because well, I only plugged one channel into the HD 700 anyway, so it's all in mono. But this was stereo because the consumer camera recorded in not only analog AFM stereo, but it also recorded in PCM digital stereo. So that was another difference for the consumer format versus the Pro. The Pro had one mic on it. You could plug two more in, but I only had one mic when I was doing the atmosphere recording, so it's all in mono. This was a ritual I had whenever I got a new camera. The first thing I did was I took it out and I took pictures of brightly colored objects like flowers and stuff so I could look at the playback quality. And then I could brag about how great they were, especially compared to the crap that we were using before, you know, like Beta, VHS, Super VHS, ugh. Super VHS had such crap color, like the reds were just terrible on Super VHS. So low resolution. It was no better than VHS. It had better resolution, but it didn't have better color than regular VHS, just to the low color frequency, the down converted frequency. 629 kilohertz, whereas 8mm and high 8 was 729. So you had an extra 100 kilohertz of bandwidth in the chroma, and that extra 100 kilohertz of bandwidth made all the difference in the world. That's why 8mm and high 8 look so good compared to VHS and Super VHS, which always look crap. Anyway, I think we're going to end it now. So thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. Which device you think has the best picture. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Trái cái nó phải